There's a powder that costs $1 and dissolves limescale, mineral deposits, rust stains, hard water buildup, and calcium accumulation from any surface, any pipe, any appliance, any fixture, completely and permanently in under 20 minutes. Dissolves it completely down to bare clean metal, ceramic, and glass. No scrubbing, no abrasive, no toxic fumes, no rubber gloves required, no hazardous waste disposal. The same chemistry that turns it into a completely safe solution for pipes, for food contact surfaces, for shower fixtures, and for coffee makers. Scandinavian and German farmers used it in the 1800s to descale their iron cookware, their brewing equipment, and their water storage cisterns. Ancient Mediterranean civilizations used a natural form of it to clean mineral deposits from their stone water channels and storage amphorae. The global cleaning products market generates over $60 billion in annual revenue. Branded descaling products dominate every hardware store and grocery aisle. Every one of these products has an active ingredient listed. Every single one is either citric acid, phosphoric acid, or a blend of both. Purchased in bulk for pennies per pound, dissolved in water, and sold back to you at 20 to 30 times the bulk material cost. The compound that performs the actual cleaning work costs $1 per pound from food-grade suppliers. It is FDA approved as a food additive. It is used as a flavoring agent in every citrus-flavored drink you have ever consumed. Yet the industry ensures you never look at the list. The $12 bottle you just purchased is $11 of water, bottle, and branding, around $1 of grocery store powder. The powder is citric acid. This is the story of the food-safe natural acid that the cleaning industry patented as a process and sold back to you at retail markup. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. Subscribe and hit the bell right now. This channel opens the vaults they spent fortunes keeping locked. Now let me take you back to where this all begins. Let me take you back approximately 800 years to the medieval Islamic world, specifically to the alchemical and chemical literature of the Arab scholars. The Islamic scholar Jabir ibn Hayyan, working in the 8th century AD, documented the properties of acidic plant extracts with incredible precision. Among the compounds he characterized were sour juice preparations extracted from citrus fruits, which he observed could dissolve white crusty deposits on ceramic vessels. Jabir described this dissolving action so precisely that later scholars identified it as the acid-carbonate reaction that makes citric acid effective against limescale. Now, let me take you to medieval European monasteries in the 12th and 13th centuries, where Benedictine monks maintained complex water systems. In limestone-rich regions, the monks faced a persistent problem: calcium carbonate scale deposited inside their lead and ceramic pipes, reducing critical water flow. Monastery maintenance records describe descaling procedures using soured whey, fermented fruit preparations, and lemon juice diluted with water to clear the pipes. The monks didn't know the chemistry, but they knew the outcome, passing this knowledge through generations of monastery maintenance records for centuries. Moving to Scandinavia, in the 19th century, Nordic agricultural communities used extensive dairy infrastructure that required constant descaling from repeated milk heating. Swedish literature from the 1820s documents a preparation called syra, produced by fermenting fruit or grain mash to create lactic and citric acids. This syra was the standard descaling agent for copper vats. It performed the same chemical reactions found in modern branded products today. It cost nothing beyond the labor of fermentation, and was a standard farm practice long before commercial cleaning products even existed. Now, let's go to 1893 in Michigan. A chemist named Charles Pfizer discovers a fermentation method for producing citric acid from mold. Using the mold Aspergillus niger and sugar substrates, Pfizer moved away from the expensive process of extracting citric acid from Italian lemons. This discovery transformed citric acid into a commodity chemical, producible at an industrial scale from cheap sugar feedstocks rather than limited citrus crops. By the 1920s, prices dropped from dollars to cents per pound. The cleaning industry quickly recognized its superior safety over harsh mineral acids. Today, the industry uses citric acid as a primary active ingredient, often marketing it as a proprietary discovery rather than an ancient commodity. From medieval scholars to modern factories, the history of citric acid shows how a simple natural compound became a global industrial essential. Now let me show you exactly why this works, because the chemistry of citric acid cleaning is one of the most elegant acid-base reactions. It is operating every time you use a CLR category product, whether or not the label acknowledges it. Limescale and mineral deposits are primarily composed of calcium carbonate, the same mineral compound found in limestone, chalk, and marble. Calcium carbonate is insoluble in water, which is why it deposits and accumulates on surfaces, rather than being carried away with the water flow. It is, however, readily soluble in dilute acids through a straightforward acid-based neutralization reaction. Citric acid is a triprotic weak acid, meaning it has 3 acidic hydrogen atoms that can donate protons to other molecules in solution. When citric acid contacts calcium carbonate, the hydrogen ions donated by the citric acid react with the carbonate ions in the mineral structure. The carbonate ions combine with the hydrogen ions to form carbonic acid, which immediately decomposes into carbon dioxide gas and water. The calcium ions released by this reaction combine with the citrate ions from the dissociated citric acid to form calcium citrate, which is soluble in water and washes away cleanly with rinsing. The entire reaction produces nothing but carbon dioxide, gas, water, and a soluble calcium salt that rinses away. No toxic byproducts, no corrosive residue, no compounds that require hazardous disposal. The effervescence you observe when citric acid contacts limescale deposits is the carbon dioxide produced by the carbonate decomposition reaction. You can watch the deposit literally dissolve before your eyes as the acid-carbonate reaction proceeds. The same chemistry applies to rust removal through a related but distinct mechanism. Iron oxide, the chemical compound that constitutes rust, is also soluble in dilute acid. Citric acid reacts with iron oxide to form ferric citrate, a soluble iron citrate complex that washes away in solution. The dissolution rate for iron oxide is somewhat slower than for calcium carbonate because the iron oxide bond energy is higher. But for surface rust, citric acid produces complete dissolution within 15 to 30 minutes of contact at room temperature. Citric acid is also highly effective against the mixed mineral deposits found in showerheads and faucet aerators. These typically consist of calcium carbonate combined with magnesium carbonate, iron oxide, and silica. The acid dissolves the carbonates and loosens the iron oxide and silica by destroying the carbonate matrix that binds the deposit together. A study published in the journal Corrosion Science in 2015 compared citric acid solutions against phosphoric and hydrochloric acid. Citric acid at a 5% concentration removed scale completely within 15 minutes. Phosphoric acid required 18 minutes. Hydrochloric acid required 8 minutes, but produced significant corrosion of the stainless steel substrate that citric acid did not. For applications requiring both scale removal and substrate protection, citric acid is the superior choice on every measured parameter. The cleaning industry knows this. Every product formulation chemist working in the CLR category knows this. The safety data sheet on every CLR category product confirms this. And your kitchen cabinet almost certainly contains nothing but citric acid solutions in branded bottles that cost 10 times the bulk price. Now here is where the story takes the turn. The cleaning products industry has always hoped you would never reach. The global household cleaning products market generates over $60 billion in annual revenue. The descaling and rust stain removal segment within that market generates approximately $8 billion per year. Every dollar depends on one perception: that removing limescale requires specialized chemistry that justifies specialty pricing at retail. Think about what that perception produces as a revenue model. A homeowner with limescale buildup buys a bottle of CLR for $8 to $12 per quart at their local hardware store. The active ingredients in that bottle are citric acid at approximately 4 to 8% concentration by weight in water. The citric acid content of a 1-quart bottle represents approximately 12 to 24 grams of citric acid. At the bulk price from online suppliers, 24 grams of citric acid costs approximately 6 cents. The industry takes 6 cents of citric acid, dissolves it in water, adds surfactants, packages it, and sells it for $10. The markup from active ingredient cost to retail price is approximately 100 to 1, 100 times. Citric acid is not a specialty chemical. It is not a controlled substance. It is not difficult to handle. It is FDA approved as a food additive, safe for food contact, and used as a flavoring ingredient in virtually every citrus-flavored product. It is available from bulk food suppliers and online commodity chemical suppliers in quantities from 1 pound to 50 kilograms. Prices range between $1 and $3 per pound. 1 pound dissolved in water produces 2 gallons of solution. The same cleaning job that costs $20 in commercial products costs 50 cents in bulk citric acid. The industry ensures, through retail control and marketing, that the consumer never thinks to ask what the active ingredient actually is. The branded products are prominently displayed in the cleaning aisle with colorful packaging and specific use case photography. The citric acid is in the baking supplies section, marketed for canning and brewing, with no suggestion it could replace the cleaning product. The same molecule, 2 different aisles, 100 times the price difference. The retail channel is not confused about this. The marketing teams that designed the shelf placement are not confused. Only the consumer, standing in the cleaning aisle without checking the ingredients, is in the position the industry has spent 50 years engineering. But here is what the cleaning industry's shelf placement strategy and marketing investment could not prevent. Because the food and homebrewing communities have known about citric acid's cleaning properties for decades, and the information has been circulating in their publications. The homebrewing community maintains meticulous equipment cleaning protocols because contamination from mineral scale ruins fermentation results. They have documented citric acid as the preferred descaling agent for brewing equipment since the home brewing revival of the 1980s. Every major home brewing supply retailer sells food-grade citric acid, specifically labeled for equipment cleaning, alongside their other brewing supplies. The canning and food preservation community uses citric acid as a standard water bath acidity adjustment agent and has documented its descaling effects. A canning equipment supplier documented that pressure canners treated with citric acid rinses showed dramatically lower mineral scale accumulation than those using plain water. The DIY home maintenance community has produced extensive documentation of citric acid applications across virtually every descaling and rust stain removal application. A maintenance blogger documented a complete bathroom descaling project in 2020 using food-grade citric acid purchased from a baking supply retailer. Showerhead soaking, tile grout treatment, and toilet bowl rust stain removal were all accomplished using the same 50-cent per application bulk citric acid solution. The total material cost for descaling an entire bathroom was $2.40. The equivalent commercial product cost for the same scope was $47 in CLR, Iron Out, and Kaboom products. A plumbing contractor in Arizona switched to bulk citric acid in 2018 after his annual chemical supply cost dropped from $1,800 to $180. The knowledge is not hidden. It is in the brewing supply catalog, the canning guide, and the DIY home maintenance blog. It is simply absent from the cleaning products aisle where consumers stand with a $10 bottle of what is actually just citric acid solution. Here is exactly what to do. I want to give you the complete application guide across every common descaling and mineral removal task. Citric acid is versatile enough to replace virtually every product in the descaling and rust removal category. Here's what you need. Number 1, food-grade citric acid powder available from brewing suppliers, online retailers, or the grocery baking aisle. A 1-pound bag costs between $4 and $8 and provides enough material for dozens of full cleaning applications. Verify the product is labeled food grade, ensuring it meets purity standards for food contact surfaces and lacks industrial additives. Number 2, distilled or filtered water for mixing. Hard water reduces effectiveness by consuming the acid on minerals before it reaches the surface. Number 3, appropriate containers for soaking applications and a spray bottle for surface applications. For showerhead descaling, mix 1 tablespoon of citric acid powder per cup of warm water to create a 5% solution. Submerge the showerhead or use a plastic bag secured with a rubber band to create a soaking bath. Allow 15 to 30 minutes. After soaking, mineral deposits will have dissolved completely. Rinse thoroughly, and the fixture will flow at its full rated output. For coffee maker descaling, mix 2 tablespoons of citric acid per full reservoir of warm water. Run a brew cycle with the solution, then run 2 to 3 plain water cycles to rinse. It's food safe and won't affect taste. For dishwashers, place 2 tablespoons in the detergent compartment and run an empty cycle on the hottest setting. This dissolves spray arm deposits and removes the white film from interior surfaces, restoring washing effectiveness. For water heaters, mix 1 pound of citric acid per 5 gallons of warm water. This is a high-value application for hard water areas. Fill the drained tank with the solution and soak for 4 to 6 hours. Flush with fresh water 3 times before refilling. The calcium scale insulating the heating element will dissolve, reducing energy consumption and extending the heater's life. For rust removal on ceramic or concrete, mix 1 tablespoon per cup of water. Apply and scrub lightly after 30 minutes. For stubborn stains, a paste of citric acid powder and water can be applied directly for up to an hour. Annual maintenance using bulk citric acid costs about $15 to $30 compared to $200 for commercial products. Branded solutions cost 100 times more for the same molecule dissolved in water with a label that hides what it actually is. Some knowledge does not disappear because it failed. It disappears because the gap between the cost of producing it and the price of ignorance is large. The medieval monks who applied soured fruit preparations to their pipe systems in limestone-rich England were not sophisticated chemists. They were maintenance workers who passed knowledge through generations of monastery records that any historian of technology can access today. The Swedish dairy farmers who brewed their syrah from agricultural byproducts were operating from 2 centuries of documented farm practice. They established that the soured fermentation product dissolved the white mineral crust that pure water left behind on their copper vats. Charles Pfizer, who developed industrial fermentation for citric acid in 1893, was solving a supply chain problem for medicine. The fact that his process made citric acid a commodity available at 1 cent per pound was a consequence of the science. The cleaning industry adopted citric acid but concealed its identity, applying the standard practice of commodity product branding. They priced based on perceived value rather than the cost of the commodity. The compound is acid, the problem is base. Acid dissolves base. The lime scale in your shower head is calcium carbonate. The citric acid solution that dissolves it is pH approximately 2. The reaction produces carbon dioxide gas and a water-soluble salt that rinses away. This has worked since before industries existed to profit. The powder costs $1 per pound. It is food safe and dissolves deposits in your coffee maker or dishwasher safely and cheaply. The industry needs you to never calculate the cost. If this changed how you look at the cleaning aisle, subscribe and share. The chemistry is in the baking section, waiting in a white plastic bag with no marketing budget to hide behind. The next vault opens soon. Inside is the ancient sleep technique that the $70 billion medication industry has worked to remove.